Welcome to Taking the Stand. I'm so pleased that you could join me here for essentially a short introduction. Now, FAN, the Freedom Advocacy Network, is a non-profit organization that seeks to empower individual citizens to become problem solvers in their own lives and communities, to build relationships of trust between people from all backgrounds so that they can work together to solve the problems we face as a country. And then lastly, to connect freedom-loving people to fight together for an accountable, limited, effective, honest government. This is what freedom is about. A crucial part of freedom is justice. And I think for too long, South African courts and South African law hasn't really been about justice protecting freedom. That's what it's all about. Democracy, justice, these things are there to make sure that your freedom is fought for. Because in the end, your freedom is worth fighting for. And one of the areas where I think your freedom has not really been fought for is in South Africa's courts, from all levels, from the lowest magistrate to the constitutional apex court. The point is that the law should be about you. And I think we've forgotten that in South Africa. Well, at least the institutions have forgotten that. The government has forgotten that. But I have a sneaking suspicion that you, like me, like millions of others who care about freedom, well, we've not forgotten that. And the fight back starts now. The potential for South Africa, if it becomes the free country we know it can be, is immense. For 100 years at least, this country and its people has been let down by government after government, governments that didn't recognize or protect freedom. Because if there's one thing all failed governments in South Africa share, it is an apathy and sometimes a dislike for your freedom and mine. So when we talk about taking the stand, the name of this podcast, it really goes to standing up for something. And that something is your freedom. It's about making sure that the law is about you, that the justice system is about you, and that you can really live in a free and great country. Because South Africa can be wonderful. And, it's almost a race against time for us to make sure that freedom makes this country as wonderful as we know it can be. The most powerful weapon in the hands of people who suppress freedom is an idea of isolation, an idea that you might care about freedom, but other people don't. And we are going to expose that. And we are going to expose that not just in the courts of public opinion, but in the courts of law, in the corridors of power, there where the laws are made and judged and interpreted and applied. That is where we are going to be taking the stand. We're going to be taking the stand to make sure that where policy and government decisions and legislation interact with your life or the life of any South African, it's to make that life better and to make freedom a priority. Because a lot of things have been priorities in South Africa, but not freedom. And I think it's time for that to change. And I suspect if you're watching this, you think so too. So join us in this series of podcasts every week where we report back from the Freedom Advocacy Network where we are fighting for your freedom, whether it's property rights, education, or just the right to have an opinion and to share it and to think for yourself, to live according to your faith and your belief, to raise your kids according to your values, to stand for an election, to vote in an election, to choose your education. I mean, these things are worth fighting for. These things, well, that's what freedom consists of. So if these things are worth fighting for, and if the courts of law and the corridors of power are where these things are decided on, well, that's where freedom is going to get an advocate in all of us, and hopefully in you. This podcast will take you inside the corridors of power, inside the courtrooms, to make sure that where the law is being understood, applied, written, argued about, your freedom will be the priority. So I look forward to seeing you every week as we make the law about what it should be, about you. Well, about the freedom that you hold that is worth fighting for. See you next week.